Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Is everybody okay?
Yes.
Fabio, are you sleeping? Oh, okay, good. Yeah. So, welcome everyone. Here we are once again. This is our second Monday of the month, and every second Monday of each month we have our meetings in English. Last month we had our meetings with Flavio Zanetti, which was the meeting that happened during our Jorespi, which happens once a year. And tonight we are back to our normal programming. But it's special because Lucas is back as well, right? So he's going to talk to us. So I'll give you a rest. But before I start, or before I do my the prayer, I want to say that I'm going to still be here for a little while because I'm going to read and make a comment on one of the messages from this book, Our Daily Bread, and then I'll call Lucas after that. And then he will say what his topic for tonight is when he gets here. But before, let's raise our thoughts, raise our heads, our hearts, open up ourselves for a little prayer. If you want to close your eyes, feel free to do so, not if you're driving. So thinking of our Creator, the one we call God, our Father, Mother, however we want to think about him or her, we would like to ask your blessings, but not only to ask for the blessings themselves, to ask that you help us to see those blessings, dear Father, because so many times we receive these blessings, but we don't even notice them. And we sometimes even forget to thank you for them. So we would like to ask, but also to thank you for everything that we've been getting, be it good or bad through our eyes, because sometimes even when we feel that the things we are getting are bad, are they really bad? I don't think so, because you love us so much that everything that you send towards our path is for our growth, our learning, and from your loving heart. So may this prayer bring you close to us, but also bring ourselves close to you. And may we understand that the love that we get is important, but the love that we give is even more important for ourselves. Thank you, God. So be it. So, here we are. And as I was doing some mathematics before coming here, I realized that tonight we are going to finish this book. Yeah, so this is our 180th message. Believe and press on. This is the last page of this book. Why is this important for us? If we divide 180 by 12, it gives us 15. We read one message of this book per month. So it's been at least 15 years that we've been reading this book. And tonight we're finishing it. Just for next month to start a new one for 15 more years. Because the next one will also be a book of this same collection, which is the Living Spring collection. And we chose for next month, we're going to start this book. This is the Portuguese version. The English version is right there. I was looking at it before. The Way, the Truth, and the Light. So next month, whoever is going to read will read chapter number 1 of this book, which will be probably, well, hopefully I'm doing the right thing. The time. So I don't know if it's Lucas or whoever it is. So be prepared. And as I say, be prepared, I remember The Lion King. Have you ever watched The Lion King? Yeah. Be prepared, right? And this is at least to me, it's a celebration because I've been here for more than 15 years at Cantinho, and we started together with the first message. I don't remember who did the message. Probably was Fatima or Thomas. They are not here anymore. One is in South Carolina, and Fatima goes to the Spiritist Center in Chelmsford. So they used to come here from time to time, and then I invited. We were talking one day and say, hey, we should start a new meeting in English. And they said, oh, why don't we start? And they said, why don't you start at Cantinho? And I said, okay, let's start at Cantinho. And then we started. That first year, we only had six lectures, or 4 lectures, or 5. It was not like January. It was somewhere else during the year. And then I think Thomas did the first talk, and then Fatima did. I think she read the book, and then I was just here babbling like I'm doing it now, right? Just talking nonsense. And so that was, 15, 16 years ago. And here we are finishing this book, which is it's a landmark for this meeting. So I'm glad we have more people tonight than we had at that first night. It was like 2 or 3. And hopefully, Lucas is the new addition to the English-speaking thing here. So hopefully, with more years coming, more people are willing to come here and say something in English. I know it's not our first language, but that's where we live, right? And if we live here, we may not like it, we may not like to speak, or didn't have the opportunity to study or something, but it's the land that we live in. We have the right to say and to speak any language, of course, but if we want to live better here, have better service, and to service better other people, we should at least make a little effort. And that's why we keep doing this. And it's only once a month, so hopefully it doesn't bother everybody. Having said that, let's believe and press on. That's the title of the message. 180. Emmanuel wrote through Chico Xavier a message that's in John chapter 17, item number 18, verse 18, as Jesus says, just as you sent me into the world, I have sent them into the world. So Jesus is praying and talking to God. And he says, just as you sent me into the world, he sent all of us into the world. As if believe and press on. Keep going, keep moving. That's how we should all do. But then Emmanuel takes this into a different level. He says, my friend, and it's all of us, if you have embraced the Christian Spiritist task in the name of the sublime faith, thirsting for a more uplifting spiritual life, remember that the Master Jesus has sent your renewed soul to the vast field of the world in order to serve Him, not to serve ourselves, to serve love. You are not only to teach the way of the good, you are to act in accordance with the lofty principles that you proclaim. You are to dictate worthy directives to others, just like I am doing here. You are to say something. You are to tell something. But you are to heed them, to take them into you, and to do something with those as well. Not only to say, but to do. You are to proclaim the need for courage while sowing joy and blessings, even when you are misunderstood by everybody. You are to keep going and keep doing and keep saying to people, be courageous, be brave, while everybody is saying that you're a bad person, saying bad things about you, discouraging you. You are not to be content with simply handing out coins and immediate relief. You are to be charitable, to give money if you have, to give things if you can, but not only. You are to always give a bit of yourself to whomever in need of us, not of things. You are not only to forgive, you are to understand the offender, helping him or her to get up. It's hard to do it. It's hard to do it. You are not to criticize. You are to find unexpected ways to be useful. You are not to yell. You are to make use of time in order to materialize the good thoughts that guide you. Hold the yell, hold the scream, and do something different with those thoughts that you're having. You are not to argue needlessly. You are to find a way to serve others wherever you are. Stop arguing. Just do something. You are not to merely combat evil with words. You are to preserve the good, sharing it with everyone. Fight with words is fine to a certain degree, but we need to do more than just words. You are not to condemn. You are to discover the light of love in order to make it shine in your heart until death. Pray and watch. Love and wait. Serve and deny yourself. Pray and watch. That's one of Jesus' teachings, right? Pray and watch, observe, so that you don't do stuff stubbornly or do stuff without thinking, without having a good intuition. Love and wait. It doesn't come back to you automatically. Almost nothing comes back to you automatically. We have to love, and then the wait is necessary. It will grow. It will come back, even if it's not until you die. Serve, do it, and deny yourself. It's the others first. And then he finalizes saying, if you are not willing to apply the divine master's lesson to your own life, if we are not taking the message and putting it inside ourselves and applying it to our lives, your faith, my faith, will have been useless. because I can say that I believe in God. I can go to the Spiritist Center, live inside the Spiritist Center, or any other church for that matter. It doesn't matter where I live. What matters is what's inside of me, not what's outside, what's surrounding me. I can make any place in the world a church if I have that church inside myself. It doesn't matter where I am. So for us to really put forward Jesus' message, and like Emmanuel says here, the Christian Spiritist message forward, we have to do it. What is the brand that says that? Just do it. So at least on that matter, let's Nike it, right? Just do it, right? That's what Emmanuel is asking us to do it, to do. So with this, we finished the book, 180 messages, and right now we invite our dear Lucas so that he can give us the main message of the night.
Good evening, everyone. Mackenzie was talking about the first time. Well, I was the last to join this group doing this English thing. But I don't even remember how the invitation came to me. I don't remember anymore. I've done, I think, about 5 of these lectures in English, a couple of readings. And every time I get up here, either English or Portuguese, I always get anxious. So it never changes. But why am I saying this? The invitation came to me, I accepted it. I did not think about it, to be honest. And I'm a little impulsive with everything I do, I guess. I like to face my fears, especially. But with time, I've realized that when people invite you to do things, it's because they believe in you. And they believe you're capable of doing it. And most of the time, we don't see that. We don't look at ourselves to see that we are capable of doing things, but others see it. Others there are around us. So if you're receiving an invitation to speak here, to do anything outside of the Spiritist Center, just be open to it and believe that there is someone there that sees potential in you, and you should see potential in yourself as well. Has nothing to do with tonight's topics, but I needed to say that. But so tonight's topic is the providential utility of wealth. This is this Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 16, item 7. And so we are going to talk about wealth, and it sounds really big, or when we talk about wealth and we all think about money, but it's actually very practical when we think about wealth, right? Because when we talk about wealth, we're not only talking about money, there are many other things that we could use for wealth, right? So we could be talking about time that you have, knowledge, health, skills, kindness. So there are many ways that we can see and discuss wealth. We're going to cover all of them, including money, and how we can apply that to our lives. So again, chapter 16, item 7. And right in the introduction of this chapter, Kardec teaches us that wealth is not an obstacle to salvation. Because if wealth made salvation impossible, God would be unfair to those who receive it. So this is what Kardec says right in the beginning. And we, as Spiritists, we know that wealth is actually a trial, right? It's a kind of test that we are put through. Those who have it, all of us are put through when we come reincarnated, right? And I think a lot of times when you think of wealth as being a problem, especially money, if you think about the gospel, especially when Jesus said that it's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom, right, of God, of heaven. As with all of our Catholic background, if you think about it, we don't interpret things, right, that are in the gospel correctly. So we most people just think that it's better for me to be poor, right? Because Jesus is saying that it's easier for a camel or for someone who doesn't have anything to go through an eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom, right, of God. And a lot of times when we think about wealth, we think about money. That's what comes to our mind, right? Still. That's not quite right, right? Spiritism teaches us different. And we see this as a big opportunity for us to do good, right? Wealth. And what really matters isn't the amount we hold, but what we do with it, right? So being rich is not the problem. It's how we use the money. It's how we use our time. It's how we use our kindness, all of the gifts that God gives us. It's very interesting because in Andre Louis' books, there are always cases where he shows us of spirits. In most cases, spirits don't want to reincarnate rich because it's such a hard, to go through being rich on earth that most of us, when we reincarnate, we ask to be poor. Just so you guys know, you all asked for it. So I remember there was a day that the woman was here sitting right there. She was like, I would never do that. Like, I never want to be poor again. Like, I'm done with it. She screamed, remember that, right? She screamed right here, like in the middle of everyone. It was like, okay, you probably asked for this too. So it's very interesting because we usually don't think about that. And because of course, after we reincarnate, we look at money and we forget about everything that we agreed that we would do here, right? And it is the same with wealth. But as Kardec said, and the spirits always remind us that wealth is not, money is not the problem. Having excess of something is not the problem. It's what you do with that is the issue, right? So Kardec points out that wealth can be a very powerful mean of spiritual progress when used wisely. So it's how you use it, right? And the question we should ask ourselves is, how am I using what I have? So if we think about life, right, as a school, and that we are all students, in students in the school, some have many resources. Go to private schools like in Brazil, right? Others don't have as many resources. But regardless, the purpose for everyone in the school is to learn, right? No matter which school you're going to, you're going there with the same purpose. So in heaven and hell, Allan Kardec gives us real reports of spirits and how they faced spiritual material goods and the consequences. So he talks about happy spirits, he talks about suffering spirits, and repentant criminals. So happy spirits, as it is related in the book, are people who used the money to influence or educate, to help others with education or influence in a good way others. They financed schooling for people or overall worked on charities. They say the best part of wealth is what it allowed them to do for others. The moral gains that money alone can buy. And if we think about it, I think that a good example of this is, Bill Gates, which we all know invests his money in Africa mostly, or many places that actually need it. He's very wealthy, as we all know, right? And he's using his money wisely. He's helping others, right? Also, a good example of this, the other day I was talking to a friend, and she mentioned that she has a goddaughter that she decided not to gift her with anything on birthdays and Christmas. Instead, she pays for health insurance. So she pays for her health insurance in Brazil, so she has good access to health, right? To good doctors and everything. So she decided to do that for her. I'm going to help you out. And the other day I heard about a story of a woman who paid for her maid got into a public university in Brazil, but she would need to live in a different city, right? So she didn't have the money to pay for it. So she decided to pay for her accommodations, for the entire school. She decided to help her with food and everything. All of the costs that the mother wouldn't be able to pay for, she decided to pay for it to help educate that person. Also an example, someone using their money wisely, right? And on the book also, he talks about suffering spirits. Those who are on the other side, these are all reports from spirits, right? And so these spirits report, they say that they let prosperity feed vanity and indifference. One spirit that, he reports, my riches served only my pleasure. I saw misery at my door and turned away. Later, they experienced regrets. All these spirits, right? We also have examples of that. I'm not going to mention any names, but there are people, right, in government that are powerful, that have money, that could do anything for the good, and they're actually promoting war, right? War here on the streets, abroad, everywhere, right? So we know as spiritists what these spirits will go through, right? And it's not on us to judge or to do anything. We just pray for them, right? We have to pray for them so they realize, right? But we know them too. So we have those examples of people who are not using the money they have and the power they have wisely as well, right? And criminals, some used money to oppress or manipulate others. Again, probably the same person that I just talked about, right? One of them said, I thought gold was power. Now I see it became my chain. These testimonies show a truth. Material goods are like a loan, right? We borrow them, as we know when we come here, right? How are we using our loans? When we come here, none of this is ours, right? We know that we only take what? Our experiences, what we do to the next life or after we die. So we know that's what we would take. So this is why we see everything we have as a loan. Someday we account for how we use this loan, right? We all know that. And this is what these teachings from the book Heaven and Hell is showing us. So André Luiz, like I said, he talks about this in almost all of his books, right? Nosso Lar and every single one, Missionaries of Light. So they all have an aspect that shows how people deal with money here and the consequences of what happens to them after they die. So in Missionaries of the Light, specifically, contains many episodes, many stories that André Luiz shares with us of people, spirits preparing for new lives and reviewing how they use their power and their money, their wealth. So one of the stories talks about Raquel, and she had wealth neglected family and community responsibilities. So Raquel asks for an incarnation with fewer resources, right? So she was rich in her life, and then when she's getting ready to reincarnate, she asks to be poor or have less resources, right, than before. Basically, she wanted to learn how to be humble through service. That's a very clear lesson, right? When wealth isn't used to expand love, the spirit often chooses conditions later to correct that balance. So it's just like I said, most of the time we will not do everything we have to do here with what we have, right? With the resources we have. And then we move on, and we are getting ready to we die, we are getting ready to reincarnate, and then we look through everything that just like, oh, I should have done this different, right? Right after we die, we basically, our conscience tells us, right, that what we did, we could have done more. We could have served more, I could have used my time differently, my resources in general. So that happens very frequently, especially with money, all right? There is another story of Amaro. He was very humble and poor, very modest means, but consistently helped others. Consistently. So his mentors highlight that small, steady acts of charity leave lasting spiritual marks. And I thought this was brilliant on this book because most of the time, we were waiting to win in the lottery so we can do good. We were waiting to have a full day off, free, no errands to run, so we can call people, so we can be there for others. And here it is very clear that small, steady acts of charity leave lasting spiritual marks. We can do little every day. It doesn't have to be big. A simple text message to someone, right? Just to say hello, I thought of you today, hope you have a great week. That's it. You could do that once a day for a different person. That should be enough. Small act of kindness, right? Again, we are shifting from the money part here when we're talking about wealth. This chapter talks specifically about wealth, money, but I don't like to see, like, especially in Spiritism, there is so much we can cover. Like, as we know, wealth is not only money. So I don't like to focus only on that. So Amaro's example reminds us that you don't need big money, just like I said, to make an eternal difference, right? And Andre Luis always reports that there are groups of souls, of spirits, who organized efforts, aid efforts after death. So showing how resources used in life can determine the kind of work one is invited to help in the spirit realm as well. So you can continue to do work here, charitable work there. As we know, Andrea Luiz joined. There are others who go and visit places, right? And especially in this book, they help people, right? And they observe too, so they can learn. But the opportunity to serve and to do good is always there, here in the spirit realm. There was an example also in one of his books of a man, and sometimes we become so attached to money here, to wealth, that we bring that with us, right? We also have many reports of that. We bring when we die, we are still so attached to our material belongings that when we when we die, we actually still think of them. We can't detach from them, which is also another problem, right? In this specific case, there was a man standing, they were walking, in this book specifically, they go from place to place, house to house, observing how people's are thinking and what they're doing. So it's basically Andrea Luiz learning, right? And through others' experiences. And he sees a man standing by a pile of leaves. Think of fall, right? You have a pile of leaves in your backyard. So there's this man just standing by a pile of leaves, and he was dead already. And then Andre Luis asked his mentor, like, why is he doing that? And his mentor invites him to look at his mental activity. Just let's evaluate his mental activity. So the guy was standing there thinking that that was all of the money he had on earth. So he was seeing all the leaves, like dry leaves, as money, as dollar bills, basically. So look at this, like probably someone who was not detached from all his material beings from earth. And that probably didn't do much to help others too, right? He was still concerned about securing his money, right? So that happens a lot too. So the way André Luiz described this group of souls, and the takeaway that André Luiz gives us is that what endures is the good we do, not the things we keep. Possessions are temporary. The moral harvest is permanent. So this is what André Luiz says in this book, The Message. And it's good to remind everyone that it is okay for you, like we started saying, it is okay for you to have money and for you to use it, right? You worked hard, that you earned it. But just make sure you're not using only for yourself, right? There's many, many ways of using it, and make sure you're thinking about that too, right? Because if you're giving that opportunity, if you're giving that money, there is a reason. As Spiritists, we know there is a reason. Nothing happens by chance, right? We don't have this much money by chance, right? It's not for only our use. We have to reflect on that. Emmanuel compares, and I thought this was very interesting, Emmanuel compares wealth to fire, right? Helpful when controlled, dangerous when out of control, right? So it stresses responsibility. And it's just, I think, with bombs and a knife, a simple knife also, right? You can use a knife to prepare a delicious meal, right? But at the same time, you can take someone's life with a knife, right? So it's how we use it. It's the same thing with money, right? We can use it both ways. So when you have much or little, how you use it, it matters morally and spiritually. So these trials that are Allan Kardec brings us, the trials of wealth, right, is very clear, more dangerous than poverty, because it tempts us. All know that temptation when it's right. You want to do things, you want to do everything, and you splurge very frequently. And in situations where there is someone right next to you that needs it, So it's very difficult. It's very difficult for everyone here to deal with money. We know that in relationships, talking about money can be stressful, right? Anywhere in life. So we have a hard time to deal with money, right? And when we have some, we just want to keep it to ourselves, and we want to do things for ourselves. It's very hard for us still to share, right? So this is the message for tonight. Wealth can obscure spiritual priorities. We know that. There's so many. Just a simple example. So many of us, basically decide not to do a spiritual activity, I'm going to say, or come to the Spiritist Center, or do something, or a church or anything, or help others, because we have to work. We have to make more money. And that's very common here in the U.S., very common, right? We prioritize money first. We prioritize our work. We are always afraid that we're going to run out of money, and money's going to end, and we're going to suffer, always. But that's not the case, right? We need to learn how to prioritize other things in life, not only money. So this trial of wealth that Kardec puts, it's not that it exists, but that it tempts us to believe we are self-sufficient, right? And it's funny because when people have money, the more you have, you think you don't need others, right? In general, I'm not saying that this applies to everyone, but in general, when you have some money, you think you're independent. I don't need my parents anymore. I don't need my cousin. I don't need anyone, right? Because I can do everything for myself. And we know that's not true, right? We know of many famous people who took their lives, even having a lot of money, right? That's not just sufficient. You need people. You need good relationships. That's what matters. So wealth is a tool, like I said, for good when used wisely. Right? Wealth supports education, social projects, right? And culture, and direct help for those who suffer, right? So it was just talked about, but in this chapter, in this item, within this chapter, Kardec talks about this a lot, right? He hits this key so frequently, like, being rich is not the problem. If you have some money, your job is to try to like even out, help others so others can grow as well, right? It's to promote growth with others. So it's very interesting because that's all he talks about in this. So Andrea Luiz also writes that wealth misused creates shadows. Wealth in service radiates light. So in practical terms, wealth becomes blessing when it multiplies opportunities for others to grow, which is so true. So how can we apply this in our daily lives? So Spiritism invites us all the time to think about how we use our time and how we use this incarnation to help ourselves and help others, right? And this is not different. Like I said, this is very specific about money here, but there are other ways we can help as well. So time, right? Like I said earlier, you can take a minute or two to text someone, to call someone, right? You can, there is a neighbor that it's elderly and lives alone. Why not call them or not stop by and just say hello, chat with them for about 5 minutes. It's not going to cost you anything. We're always rushing, but we are rushing without need most of the time, right? It's just an idea that we create in our minds and we need to rush. We forget about, to breathe, basically. And we have like 5 minutes to talk to someone. So we can volunteer at a local shelter, an hour or something, whatever we do, there is always an opportunity to help. And when you talk about being charitable and helping others, we always think that in the US you can't do it. Oh, there are not a lot of people we need, not in need of money, but there are other needs that people, have here in this country. As we are all Brazilians here. I'm looking around and we're all Brazilians. We're huggers, we're kissers, right? So there is always an opportunity to hug someone, to say hello. I've been also an example of a good friend who helped in a food bank in his neighborhood. He has some time, but most importantly, he makes time to go there and help. There's so many people that actually go there that don't have money to buy food. So many people. So we were talking about, this is downtown Boston, right? He lives downtown Boston, and once a week, he goes to this place. He brings some food, and he helps distribute it to all these people who live with food insecurity. So there is always an opportunity to help. We just need to look for it, right? Knowledge, very important, right? Knowledge and skills, I would say. So if you know something, if you know English, you could teach someone, help someone learn English, right? Maybe once a week or once a month, you can help that person, right? We always run into people arriving from Brazil or from other countries, new immigrants here that need some sort of support. Why not take a couple of minutes to help them figure out the health system here, that it's very complicated, or anything else, right? To call somewhere for them to try to schedule an appointment, whatever. There is always an opportunity to help. Kindness, right? And this one, I put it here for me to speak because last week I have a friend I hadn't talked to in a while, and I was like, I don't have time to call her. So I'm just going to send a message. Just, hello, I was thinking about you. I hope you're doing okay. Have a great day. Bye. That was it. Very short. She was so happy when she read that message. Just like, well, you made my day. And today she made my day because it's been a week, and today she sent me that message. I was just thinking about you. Just wanted to write and say hello. Hope you have a great week. So an act of kindness, right? We always think people don't want to hear from us, right? Which is not true. You never know what the person is going through. There is always an opportunity to make an impact there, right? Also practice active listening, right? When a coworker, this is very hard, or a family member is stressed, right? Give them your time, a few minutes, right? You're not the only one who goes through problems. There are other people that have bigger problems than you, right? And I think Roberto, once he was here, he gave us a seminar, and he stressed the need of us serving. And he said, well, I went to mediumships, like reunions, while I was sick. And because I know there's spirits that need my help more than I need myself in this moment. So there's always someone that needs you. And we always think that our problems are unsolvable, and they're the biggest ones, right? When you start talking to people, you realize it's not true. Like our problems are very little compared to what others people go through. And I remember also when we had the yard sale here a couple of months ago, and I was out there helping and talking to people. Oh, okay. So I was out there talking to people and everything, and listening to their stories, like their life stories, and I was so impacted by what they were telling me. It's like, why am I complaining about something? I'm being hungry now, or like why am I being grumpy about this, right? There was a woman who had gone through like 2 cancers. Her husband had cancer, and she was about to receive a message that if she was like the next day she would receive a message if she was okay or not still. And I'm like, why am I complaining about? My health is great. I have money enough to support myself to do the things I like. She was telling me that her bills are like she hadn't paid for phone bill for 3 months. I'm like, what am I complaining about? I have to be so grateful for what I have, right? So my problems are not as big as anyone's problems. So there's always someone out there with bigger problems, and we should consider that. And one thing I want to invite everyone to think about, and it's like, if you have influence in position, right? Some of us know people like this same friend that goes like on and helps on this food bank in Boston. He knows so many people. Like he basically has like someone who knows the president or someone who knows the Pope. Like he's very like close, very influenced, and he does not mind helping anyone at all. If you need help, if I call him now and say like you need a job, he will find you a job. He's that type of person. He will stop everything he's doing to find a job for you, to help you. And it reminded me, so I was watching a YouTube, a video on Instagram, and of this American guy who lives in Brazil, and he's like visiting different states, and he's like, it's just like going to Minas Gerais, right? People from Minas, they'll stop anything. They're trying to solve their problem, and if you ask for help, they'll come and stop everything just to help you. It's their personality, so that's how I am, because I'm from Minas. I'm joking, but this is what we should think about, right? if you have the opportunity to help someone, don't think about it, right? Just help. Because we all know that by helping others, we're helping ourselves, right? Always. And like I said in the beginning, small acts, right? Andre Luis told us that in one of his books. It needs to be small acts. It doesn't have to be a big act. I don't need to build a school and support one school, wait to win the lottery. It can be small acts, right? So small acts given with love are greater than grand gestures without heart, right? So we need to think about that. And before I close this, I just wanted to remind us of something, because I was thinking about, every time I read one of these books, like one of these messages from these books, when we do our gospel at home, the first thing I like to do is to think about how I can actually apply this to my life today. What are the situations I'm going through on a daily basis that I could apply this? And what I thought about was that we came to the US searching for better opportunities, all of us. Maybe one of us were two, we're born here already and everything, but overall, our families, ourselves, we came here for one reason, right? For looking for better opportunities. Let's be honest, we are doing way better than we got here, financially speaking. Back to money, we're doing way better. Not that most of us have excess money, right? That we have a lot of it, but we're back. We have way more than what we had back home in Brazil, right? And Spiritism, again, the spirits teach us that nothing happens by chance. Nothing is an accident. We didn't come here just so we can make some fortune or buy a house or like make a life or have, for a safer place. That's not the reason why. If we think about all the opportunities that we have on a daily basis here, that this country gives us, how are we giving back to those who need? We're in such a much better position, right? We have financial stability for the most part. Education. Some of us do have the opportunity to go to school here. We have good jobs overall. And we should consider all of these tools as part of our spiritual assignment. We were sent to the United States. We didn't come here because we wanted to. We were sent here. We have to start thinking about that, right? It doesn't mean, like I said, we all have tons of money that we can just throw out in the sky, like Silvio Santos, right? But compared to where we started, we have more. And that's where our responsibility is. That's where it comes in. We can support a family who's in Brazil. Many of us do that already, right? We help them with education, with health needs or anything. We do that already. Great. And we could do small acts of kindness on everyday relationships. We could support someone. We could adopt a child virtually, right? Like they do. Like you give $10 a month or these many a year, and you can support someone's education, right? The other day I was also on Instagram. I found this guy. I started following him. He's Italian, and he's very young. He's probably 27, 28. He started building schools in Africa. A beautiful project. So he goes around like raising money, and then he goes back to Africa, and he said, "This is my home. I feel happy here. I feel that I am doing what I'm supposed to do in this place." I'll have to find his name and I'll show it to you, because I think it's a beautiful project that we should at least watch and support him online, because it's very beautiful. So this is part of our spiritual purpose. That's what brought us here to this country, right? And we didn't come here to be successful. even though some of us might think that, right? We came here because we have the opportunity to serve, to be grateful, and to do better, right? So wealth and poverty are both chances to grow, both of them, right? Because they're gifts that were given to God, to us. Everything that God gives us is a gift. It's an opportunity. So the important thing is, are we using what we have to help others grow, to lift to others in ourselves? Where is your treasure today? There your heart will be. Make your treasure be kindness, service, and growth. And just before I close, I think I told this here before, but I think it's so. I had this coworker that during Lent, Easter Lent, her mother, instead of bribing themselves with like food, of meat, for example, she would tell the kids, her mother, tell the kids to pick something good to do during that period, that 45-day period. You're gonna eat meat and everything. They're Catholics and everything, so he's not gonna stop eating meat. You're going to do something good for 45 days, and you're going to try to turn that into a habit. So every year she had to choose something good to do. Right? And I remember she told me that one year she just chose to say something good to the first person she encountered in school. Anyone, a teacher, one of her colleagues, anyone. So she would just compliment them. Hey, you look great today. Beautiful smile today. That's it. That made people's lives so different. It's such a big pact with such a small act of kindness. Maybe we should start doing that, right? And one last story, because just came to my mind, and this is personal. There is this very difficult manager at my job, very difficult. And I confronted him once. And, he started respecting me, after that, because I had a point during our argument. And after that, we started making compliments to each other very frequently. And it's funny because it's natural. Like, I'm just like there working concentrated. He'll come to me and he'll just say, I really appreciate what you're doing. He doesn't say that to anyone, but he says that to me very frequently. So the other day, and like in meetings, he's always the one to point things out, to be harsh on people and everything. But there was this one day where he came to the meeting and he thanked everyone. He was like, thank you, this was a great month. I really appreciate what everyone is doing and everything. So after that meeting, I sent him a message. That was great of you for acknowledging what people did good, which is not something he does. But I sent him that message. And after that, our relationship got even better. So a small act of kindness, right? We should think about that. We should start practicing more. Whenever you can help with money or any other of these things we talked about, we should. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you, Lucas. Excellent. Little, like that movie, since we started talking about The Lion King, but there's that other movie, what's it called? God Almighty. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's a crazy, Todo Poderoso in Portuguese. So the first one it's much funnier than the second one. But the second movie, they are looking for the ark, right? They are looking for Noah's ark, right? or at least they think it's Noah's Ark that they're looking for, but actually it's just the Ark. And what is the Ark? It's what Lucas just finished saying here. It's acts of random kindness. So, and that's what we should just start doing, right? And it's so powerful what Lucas just said, because it changes completely. I mean, it really, and I hope everybody has a story like the one that he just told us, because when you live through a story like this, you can really feel and see how loving it changes lives. It really changes lives. Thank you for that. And so we have, this is, like I said in the beginning, it's every second Monday of the month. And I didn't have, I was going to try to do something, and I did something while I was in there. And I was blessed enough to have received a yes. So what I'm saying is firsthand. So next month, we're going to have our dear friend, and I don't know if he's watching or not. Hopefully he is. But next month, we're going to have our dear friend Eric Delgado. He is from the Spiritist Center in Fitchburg. The name is, I think it's Grupo de Cultura Espírita Amália Domingo Soler. They are there. It's a mouthful, right? The name. We know them, so they're Hispanics, and most of them, and but they do their meetings in Portuguese and in English, and they visited us during our Joresp here quite a few times, and it was awesome to be there. We visited them as well there, and I have been inviting him, and I just texted him and say, hey, when can we have you here? And he said, let's do it December. So next month, we're going to have someone else other than me. And I was glad, because it was going to be me. So he's going to replace myself. So I'm not going to be talking here. But he will bless us with his, he's very friendly. He's a great friend. And we've been very blessed to have met him and all the group there. So we're going to have him coming next month to give us the talk in English for in December. So it will be great to have him here. And I also have another friend that I'm going to talk to her, and hopefully in next year she'll be able to come. So you're going to get a little rest from me, at least for most of the night. I start and finish, but for most of the night, you're going to get a little rest from me. So next Saturday, we have our meetings. It's every Monday and every Saturday at 7, from 7 to 8:30. On Tuesdays, we have our study group with our dear Jussara, Antonio, and whoever wants to participate. We put the table here and we study about the book Paul and Stephen. If you cannot come, you want to participate online, we do this little Facebook group. If there's more people, we can find another way, but it's been working so far. What else? This November, by the end of the month, Lucas mentioned Roberto here during his talk, right? He's not going to be at Cantinho in November. He's going to be only at Fealma, because he only has, I think, a week to be here. So he's going to be at Fealma doing his treatment there. And there will be like a specific day for a study that he's going to do with the mediums and so on. But in January, he's going to be here at Cantinho. So we're going to, when everything's all set, we're going to start like telling people when is it. I think it's by the end of the month. I think it's the 20 or something. But we will, when we have everything set up, we will let everybody know. But if you want to see Roberto, if you want to just, there will be, I think it's on the 29th or so. Yeah.
For the study?
No, not for the study, for Felma, yeah. So, yeah, for treatment. He's going to have those 2 treatments for, I don't know the days on the top of my head, but he will be here. Remind everybody about a God at home or the gospel at home that Lucas also mentioned here, which was great. So it's a day where we sit down, we choose a topic, we open up a book. Maybe that would be a good thing to do at least once a month, like a little message in English, if you're willing to. But it's interesting to make that something that we do every week at the same time, at the same day. Put some water so that we can invite the good spirits there to help us on that evening and help our family. And invite everybody. If no one wants to come, no one wants to come, and then the good spirits will be there with us. I don't think there's any. Oh yeah, November 29, which is the Saturday, we're gonna have our special Thanksgiving dinner night, and also it's the birthdays of the month. Is there anybody November here? No, right? Just daughter for, yeah, so just one person, so she's gonna be, yeah, she's gonna love it. It's only for her, so, yeah. So every last Saturday of the month, we do our a little like celebration of all the birthdays of that month. And this month, it's not only the birthdays, but it's also Thanksgiving. So it's going to be on a Thursday, of course, and then on Saturday we have our not only our dinner, but also a special topic about Thanksgiving, or this year will be gratitude. So everybody is invited to be here, whoever wants to come. It's usually a very nice night. And I think that's it, right? So there's one more thing. I'm gonna print and maybe put it in our WhatsApp number. We have a number. I don't know if you all know, but we have a specific number, a telephone number, that doesn't receive calls. It's just for text messages. But that's where we send like once or twice a week, either the program, the program for that week, our schedule, but also some if there's something special. Sometimes, I mean, now we're going to start our snow season, right? So if we want to receive like updates, if we're going to close or not, maybe it's a good idea to have the continuous number at your cell phone, so that you can receive a message, you can receive news, and you can also communicate back if you want to ask something, if you want to, send a message. Shirley is the one that manages it, but I get some text messages from time to time too. So if you want, I'm going to put the number there. The number is right here, 339-228-7828. I don't have it by heart, but I'm going to put it there bigger so everybody knows. And if you want, you just add. I'm just saying this because if you don't add the number as a contact, because the number is a business number, we cannot send messages so that you don't get spam. So you have to know the number so that we can send something. So if you want to receive it, just add as a contact, and then you can send a text message or you can send a WhatsApp message, and then you'll be added to the list, and you will be able to receive messages. And I'm going to stop talking, right? Are we done, Adriana? Can we finish now? Okay. So let's do our final prayer for us to do the passes, and then we can all head home safe and sound. Dear Master Jesus, you are always with us. And that's why, although sometimes we might feel alone, we should all know that we are never alone. Thank you for your companionship. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your guidance. May your blessings follow us wherever we are, so that we can, while talking and seeing and hearing other people, apply your messages to our daily lives. May these blessings help us heal our wounds, but also may these blessings help us help others to heal their wounds. May your love fill our hearts, the hearts of our sons, our daughters, our fathers and mothers, the ones that we love and that love us, but also the ones that don't like us very much, but make us understand that we are the ones that need to love them as much as we can. May your blessings follow us wherever we go, into our homes, into our lives, into our hearts. So be it. So thank you for coming. We have the passes now.